Hello and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the ScriptDoll office hours. We are very happy to be here today, and we have a very exciting topic that we're going to cover today. We're calling it the 4 Old Faithful Copywriting Techniques designed to turn ice cold traffic into subscribers and buyers. So let's get right into it. First off, my name is Debbie Drum, and I will be giving this presentation today, and I'm the head of content development over at Fearless Social and ScriptDoll. So here's specifically what we're going to be covering today. First, the 4 copywriting proven to work recipes for success to sell more products and services. Next, the 4-step must-do process to make you and your copy more effective, and also how to convert even more non-buyers into happy paying customers. And don't ignore this treasure trove. So we got a lot to cover today, and I just want to thank everyone for attending this live session. We always love the energy that you guys bring when these sessions are live. And as you know, we record all the sessions, and they are usually put immediately on our website, which is scriptdoll.net. And if you look on the right-hand corner, or the right-hand side, you'll see all the previous office hours sessions that we've done. So just look out for those. And I'm going to be referencing some of those because we've covered a lot of stuff in detail, and I'll probably be referencing some of those past sessions so that you can get even more detail about some of the things that I'll be discussing today. So let's talk about these recipes. So basically, if you are a member of ScriptDoll, can you just type in the chat box if you're a member, just so I can get a feeling of who is out there and what you guys are doing with ScriptDoll. Okay, awesome. A lot of you are saying yes, you're a member. Great. So don't worry, even if you're not a member of ScriptDoll, you're going to get a lot out of this because we like to cater to everyone. But we also do reference, of course, the templates and the profiles that we have in our ScriptDoll program. Okay? So, we got to thinking that we have all these templates for you guys to use inside of ScriptDoll. There's so many in there right now. But we wanted to get a little bit more in depth of how you can actually use these templates with what you're actually trying to do and with what you're selling online. So we decided to put together these fun little recipes for success for your copywriting. So these are the 4 that we're going to go into in detail today, and it's going to really cover a lot of what people are doing online in terms of what you're selling in terms of digital products or services. So let's get into it. So these are the 4: the 100K digital product recipe, the Web 3.0 selling machine recipe, the no selling recipe, that's my favorite one, I can't wait for that one, and the service recipe. So let's go ahead and start with the 100K digital recipe. And before I kind of get into how this is all going to work, basically we structured this so that you're not really selling to warm traffic, right? Because it's a lot easier to sell to people who know you. We're talking more today about how to structure your products, your services, to sell to people who don't necessarily know you, or maybe they know you a little bit, and maybe they've seen your name around before, but they don't know exactly who you are, what you do, things like that. So these things are recommended for people, again, who you want to warm them up to you, and these are the things that you want to do that. Okay, if you want to turn these ice cold people into warm, and then or lukewarm, then warm, then really, really warm, okay, and then hot, right? And those are your your hot prospects that you sell to all the time and they buy from you all the time. So here's the first recipe. And again, this is really geared towards selling digital products online. So, and mostly geared toward the quote unquote I am product profile. So in the internet marketing niche, but you could successfully use this in other niches as well online. So we got here, if you look at number 2, what you want to do is, these are the scripts inside of ScriptDoll that you actually want to use. Now, again, if you're not using ScriptDoll, pretty much down here below, it says what the recipe is. Basically, it's a squeeze page, then it goes to a low ticket offer, and then it goes to a main offer, right? So we have all these templates already sitting inside of ScriptDoll. So we have the easy squeeze template, which is your template to build your squeeze page. Then we have your, I believe it's the workhorse sales letter for your low ticket offer, right? So that can range anywhere from it could be $19.95. That's like the average cost of a low ticket offer. And then you can go ahead to your main offer. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the main offer a little bit later, but that could be, a longer form sales letter. That can also be a video sales letter where normally you're selling that product for around the $99 to $199 range. Okay, so these are the 3 templates that you want to really focus on using when you are developing a funnel of cold traffic from a squeeze page to a low ticket offer to a main offer. So this is pretty much a recipe. It's a formula that has been proven to work time and time again. Okay, and that low ticket offer is basically designed to pay for your traffic. If you are paying for traffic, that's why most people have that low ticket offer there. It's number 1, obviously, to get people to spend a little bit of money with you, especially if they just opted in to get something free. And then number 2, it's to cover the cost of any traffic that you're paying for. Okay, and a price of like $19.95 is definitely going to do that. If you're paying in like the $7 to $10 range of getting a lead, let's say like on Facebook or something. Okay, so after you've gotten people kind of into your funnel, right, starting with the squeeze page, they're not necessarily 100% going to buy, right? So we need some follow-up in place so that it leads them back to that low ticket offer and then ultimately back to your main offer, which is where you're going to make most of your money, right? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be following up, and with these 2 different templates that were specifically designed to follow up for the low ticket offer, which is the bonding to buyer email sequence. That's the freebie to low ticket. And then if they buy that, you want to continue following up with the quote unquote let's be friends email template, which is a great template to get people to know you a little bit better. After they get to know you a little bit better, then they're most likely going to buy from you. Okay, so this is the first recipe for success. The next is the Web 3.0 selling machine recipe. Okay, so let's cover first what a Web 3.0 sales letter is. Basically, we've covered this in the first session of office hours. It was a great session, and pretty much a 3.0 sales letter is a sales letter that uses color to segment sections of your sales copy. So basically, your sales copy is gapped up into sections, and the combination of the coloring and the sections that you use caters a lot to the skimmers, because most of the time when people land on a sales page, they're not going to read every single word. They're going to skim down, they're going to read the headline, they're going to read the sub-headline, and you want to cater to those people who are pretty much just skimming down your sales letter. And the way that you do that is to break it up in sections. And ScriptDoll actually makes this really, really easy for you because we actually tell you where to break up those sections, and we make it very, very easy for you. So go ahead and check out session number 1 of office hours, and you'll get a really more in-depth training about the Web 3.0 sales letter. So here's an example. This is a recent Web 3.0 sales letter called it's a Fiverr arbitrage system, and that we just put out. So this is just an example. Most of the sales letters that we're putting out nowadays look like this. So basically, most of the time you have a video on top, and then down below you kind of have these sections or bullet points of what the course is going to cover. So this is just an example of what it looks like. So here's the actual recipe. So what you can do is you can use the video spike VSL template, which is a video sales letter template, or you can use the Venetian video sales letter. So these two VSLs, they're both VSLs, and they're slightly different in their own way. So you could just pick which one to use. You can use either one. Both are great. You can combine them if you want. No worries there. And then you're going to also use the ScriptDoll Web 3.0 sales letter in conjunction with your video sales letter. So as you can see, if you look at a lot of our sales letters, you'll see that, again, we have the video sales letter on top. Now it ranges obviously how long you want your video to be. If you want it, it could be, doesn't have to be that long, or it could be long, whatever you want, however you're trying to sell your product or service. And then towards the bottom, if you scroll down any of our sales letters, you'll see that the content is broken up and it shows exactly what's being offered. And that is usually the Web 3.0 sales letter is incorporated into that bottom section, okay? So that's basically your recipe for success. And we actually had a contest not too long ago, and one of the winners, or I think a couple of the winners, actually used this exact strategy where they use the video sales letter on the top and the Web 3.0 sales letter on the bottom. And it worked out really, really great, and they had really high conversion. So it's a great recipe for success. All right, so let's get to the no selling recipe. And this is my absolute favorite way to sell these days, okay? And it's fun because you're not really selling. Here's why. Have you guys ever heard, type into the chat box right now, please, if you've ever heard of a native ad. Just say no or yes. No, a couple no's. All right. Oh, quite a few people. All right. So if you've never heard of what a native ad is, this is great for you because you're going to want to know what a native ad is. Basically, what a native ad is, if you look, not right now, but after this webinar, if you go ahead over to fearlesssocial.com/blog, you'll see this article called The 13 Proven Recurring Revenue Ideas That People Can't Resist Paying For. And this is an example of a native ad. Basically what it is, it's content with slight advertisements or ads inside of built inside of the content. And the actual advertisements look like they're part of the content. They're not even really designed to stand out. They're not even really designed to say, click here, in your face. It's more like you're providing the person with tons of value, tons of content, and then what you want this person to do is you want them to naturally click through to whatever it is you are selling, okay? So basically it's not a sales letter. It's technically just like an article or a blog post, but it is designed to do a combination of two things. Number one is give the reader content, right? And then number two is lead that reader to the next step, which is whatever you want them to do, whatever action you want them to take, whether it's a squeeze letter, or a squeeze page, or a sales letter. Okay? So here's the recipe, okay? The no selling recipe is usually an ad first, right? So you have to have some way of driving the traffic, right? So it could be a Facebook ad, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a Facebook ad. This is just an example. And then you're going to lead that person to your native article, right? So you're not going to lead them to a squeeze page. You're not going to lead them to a sales page. You're going to lead them right to an informative article. And basically, this article is hosted on either your blog or a property that you own. It's important that you own this property for several different reasons, which we'll kind of get into, but whatever it is, because this is your traffic, you want to be in control of where you're sending people. So we actually have inside of ScriptDoll a native ad article already pre-written. So basically you can just load that into load your profile into that native article, kind of reread it, put in your own words where they're needed, but this is already done for you. And it's designed to be informative, not necessarily to sell, okay? But obviously that's your underlying goal. So next, what you want to do is you want to send people, there's no hard right or wrong to this, right? So you can test this out to send people either directly to a sales letter from your native ad. If you think you've done a good enough job to sell whatever it is you're selling, and then you want to lead people right to a sales letter, you can do that. Or you can lead them to the easy squeeze template. And then obviously that would circle back around to the 100K digital product recipe that we talked about in number 1. Okay. So what I say here is, what I recommend, like especially if you're doing affiliate offers, you should definitely try to send people to a squeeze page first and then send them to the affiliate offer, because this way, in case they don't buy, you can follow up with them. And of course, in case they don't buy, you could put a pixel on that page and follow that person around and follow up with them through email and through retargeting if they don't buy the offer. And if they never buy the offer, at least you're capturing the email, right? So we always want to think about our bottom line. Like, look, we're paying for the advertising. So we need to devise this recipe so that we're actually either getting a lead or we're getting a sale. Okay. And I think the only real way that you should really send people directly to a sales letter is if it's your own sales letter. Okay. Because you kind of, you're going to be capturing all that information anyway from them. So the point is that you want to be in control of most of this process, as opposed to just sending people out and away from your properties. Okay. So hopefully that is pretty clear. Let me just see if we have any questions or confusion about the no selling recipe and what that's about. Okay. Absolutely no. Okay, so hopefully now you have a better idea of what a native advertisement is. And it's a great way to, give somebody a lot of information and not necessarily try to sell them right away. And that's why we call it the no selling recipe, because you're just giving them content. And the more content that you're giving, the better off you're going to be in terms of them liking you and trusting you better, because or faster, because you're giving away all this content for absolutely nothing, for no commitments. Okay. So yeah, so we have a couple people who are arriving late, and absolutely there will be a replay, no problem. Just want to make sure the people who are on are cool with the native advertisement selling or no selling recipe, because I don't want to move on, because I know a lot of people here said that they weren't clear about that. So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of what the native ad is all about. And yes, it does. It does take a little bit more time, and it's kind of a roundabout way to get a sale. But at the end of the day, it's a very effective way to get a sale because of the fact that you're giving away tons of content, tons of value before you actually go in, for the sale. Or even before you go in to collect an email address. Awesome. Okay, great. So here are two native ad styles. Now, you could put a native ad basically on the left-hand side here. You can put a native ad right on your blog, right? So basically here is a native ad that we have, and it's right on the Fearless Social blog. And, that's an effective way to get people, just on your blog, kind of looking around at your other content. The second way, and I've been testing both of these ways as well, is the standalone page. And the standalone page is really just, it's almost like a sales letter, but there's no buy button. It's just it has nothing on the sidebars to distract the person of not doing exactly what you want them to do in a specific article. So if this is one of my examples here, and if I showed you the bottom of this page, it's basically just an opt-in right on the page at the bottom for a free gift. So basically there's no distractions, there's no other links for people to click besides sharing the link. And this is a great way to just give people information in a way that's easy for them to read, and also the ability for them to do what you want them to do, like click somewhere else. Like I have here, a subtle link. That's also like a quality of a native ad article, where you have like subtle links and you have links to a product or an opt-in page. Okay. So these are just two examples. And again, there's no right or wrong. This is just testing and seeing what works for the traffic that you're sending to. And of course, another advantage here with these pages is, again, you own the page. So you want to always be tracking, always be putting your pixels on these pages so that you can always follow up with people later with retargeting and, to get them to further take action on what you want them to take action with. All right, so let's go over the fourth recipe, which is the service recipe. Service examples are, like brick and mortar services like dentists, chiropractors, plumbers, things like that. You can be a graphic designer, you can be a copywriter, you could be a website developer, you can be a content provider. So these are all ways in which you want to get more business and help people and get clients. Okay. So here's a screenshot of the basic model that you want to be following when it comes to service type services. So first you can have an ad, like let's say like a Facebook ad, and then you want to send people to an opt-in page, and then you want to send people to a thank you page, and then that thank you page will have directions to what whatever the gift is. So you're basically, the whole idea here is that you're not sending people directly to their gift. You're making them check their email, because number one, you want to make sure that email is valid. And number two, you want to actually get people to take extra steps to make sure that they're really hot prospects. So if they actually go and they check their email for a coupon code or whatever it is you're sending them, then they become really, really hot prospects. So if they never really check their email and they never, they follow up 7 days later or whatever, they missed the coupon that you're promising or whatever, then they're not the best, people to target. And then finally, their email that they get gives them their gift, like a coupon that expires. Okay, so that's basically what you want to have in mind kind of when you are, putting together like a funnel, especially in the service type industry. So here is the recipe. So basically, ultimately, what you want to send people after they've gotten their free gift is to like an offline BSL, which happens to also be a template inside of ScriptDoll. And it's like a more intimate kind of video telling people who you are, ultimately what kind of services you provide. So after you've given somebody a free gift, they've kind of jumped through all these hoops to get it because they did all the steps required, then you want to start to sell them right away on something, right? Whatever it is, whatever package that you have that is kind of more high ticket, that's when you want to do it. And then ultimately, you're always sending people to this offline BSL where you're explaining what you want to do for them, and that's where they would ultimately buy from you. Okay? So that is the service recipe. Any questions before I move on to other things? Any questions about any of these recipes that we went over before we kind of get to the next section of the training? While I take my sip of water here. All right, everyone is clear, huh? Crystal clear. Wow, I guess I did a really good job. Okay, Michael, we answered that question already. I'll get to that at the end. I don't want to keep harping on that. Okay, awesome. The templates are located if you log on to the inside of the ScriptDoll system. You need to have a completed profile in order to generate a template, which is the VSL. And there is a pull down for the VSLs. Okay, so I'm not going to get into detail about what each VSL says because they're obviously they're designed to sell. They're just slightly different in their own right. And essentially it's saying basically the same thing to get people to buy. However, it's just saying it in a different way. So basically you can choose your own comfort level when it comes to choosing which VSL to use. I always find that I'm kind of combining them together and using little bits and pieces of both. And if you just like download, I think it's like 3 of the templates, and you open each of them up, you can kind of look at them, get a feeling of what they're saying, what they look like, and then you can come up with, your own, what you feel comfortable in using for your specific scenario. That's how I go about doing it. Okay, awesome. Let's move on then. So let's get into the 4-step process that makes your copy more effective. And obviously, the things that I'm going to be talking about really range from, if you're just starting out, these are some things that you're not going to do right now. And I get that. I know that when I first started out, I didn't do a lot of the things that I'm telling people to do now, but kind of just like taking a 500-foot view of what should be going on during this process is good. It's good to actually know, so when you actually get comfortable and get to the point that you're ready to do this stuff, you'll know what to do. Okay, so let's get into it. So first of all, and what I'm noticing more and more is that installing pixels is so important to all of these processes. And I've probably said it already like close to 10 times throughout this presentation already, is that you want to really own the pages that you're marketing, right? Because you're more in control that way. So, if somebody doesn't buy from your squeeze page, or they don't opt in from your squeeze page, then you actually essentially kind of sort of already have that person on a list, because you have them as a custom audience because you've installed the pixel. And I'm not going to get into really, really in-depth training on pixels now. That's kind of for a later episode. But just have this in mind, that you want to never be marketing without pixels. And pixels should, if not now, then in the near future, become your best friend. And you shouldn't be creating any type of properties online if you're not working with pixels. They're only going to help you. And just pixels in the sense of custom audiences, retargeting, and tracking. Okay? So these are all going to help you and actually increase your bottom line when you start actually incorporating pixels into your marketing. Number 2 is tracking. And again, like, I know when I first started out, like, I didn't even care about tracking, because like all I wanted to do was get my products up, get my squeeze pages up, and whatever, tracking just went out the window. But again, as you become a little bit more advanced, you're going to want to start tracking things, okay? And even if it starts, and for me, it started all with link tracking, right? So even if you're not tracking anything but the amount of clicks that you're actually getting, that's a start. And that is perfectly fine. And the way that you do that is you use some kind of link redirect. And we actually did a whole training on this a couple weeks ago on tracking. It wasn't the last one, it was the one before that one. So if you go ahead, Michael, I'll answer your question now. If you go over to ScriptDoll.net, on the right-hand side, there's that office hours link, and you will see all the replays to the office hours that we've had previously. Okay, so that was a really great session. I would definitely advise you to check that one out. Number 2, conversion tracking. We're actually tracking now sales and opt-ins. Now, conversion tracking on like an autoresponder type of thing, like your autoresponder should most of the time give you some statistics on your opt-in rate. Now, I do find with some of the advanced technology that we have, like for instance, like optimized press and things like that, the autoresponders have a hard time tracking conversions for some reason. And so they might not give you the best and clearest picture on how your squeeze pages are converting. So you've got to kind of find another way to see how many clicks you're getting versus how many opt-ins you're getting. And also on the sales end, how many clicks you're getting and how many sales you're getting. And on the sales end, most of the time, you don't really need a third-party tracking system. You'll get that from systems like JVZoo, like Zax and things like that. They'll tell you your EPC, your earnings per click, and they'll tell you your conversion rate. So those are numbers that you're going to want to start to pay attention to. And then an advanced stage to this is tracking each web property, so you know where your sales are coming from and where to focus your efforts, right? So you can even do this on a click level, where let's say your promoting your product or service in 5 different places. Let's say you're promoting on Google Plus, you're promoting on Facebook, you're promoting to your list, you're promoting on Pinterest, and maybe you're promoting like, I don't know, someone give me a video, okay? That's 5 places. Now, for each of those 5 different places, you're going to want to at least, bare minimum, use different links for all those 5 places, because then you'll know, like, if you're getting 500 clicks on Google Plus and 3 clicks on video, then wow, I have to focus more of my time on Google Plus. And so, at least that'll give you a lot of sense to where your clicks are coming from. However, you're going to want to know what your conversions look like, because let's say with those 500 clicks, you got 0 conversions, right? But let's say with those 3 clicks that you got on your video, you got 3 conversions, which is 100% conversion rate. So that is a lot different. So it gets a little bit confusing when you look at it like that, or that's why I say it's a little bit more advanced. So not only do you want to be tracking your clicks, but you want to also be tracking your conversions. Again, we can't really get into so much detail because this webinar is not all about tracking and conversion tracking, but it's just something to really start thinking about. Number 3, and this is so important, again, something that I completely ignored in the beginning, but once you get a little bit better and a lot of the latest software that we have, Lead Pages, ClickFunnels, all of them have a way of giving us the ability to easily start testing different things, right, about our marketing. So even if it's testing, 2 squeeze pages, 50% of your traffic is going to one squeeze page and 50% of your traffic is going to another, then at least that's something. So marketing is dynamic. It's never static, and things are changing all the time. And just because something worked, 2 months ago, that doesn't mean it's going to work again. Just because something is working for somebody else, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. And that's really, all of this makes what we do really, really hard. And this is why, you have your really successful marketers. They're not just doing things one way. They're like finding success and they're like, okay, I need to get better. I need to take all this success and I need to transform it and get even better conversions or more sales, whatever it is. What can I do to be getting better? And that's why it really never, ever stops. And, so it's always a constant test. And you'll hear this from really, really high level marketers in our industry, in other industries. They'll tell you that you just gotta keep on testing. And of course, we have number 4, which is tagging and or segmenting. And how many of you have heard of our program called Living Emails? Have you seen anything about that and joined the webinar? Okay, awesome. Yeah, we just finished, I believe, the final training on this. And basically what it is, okay, so some people have, some people haven't. Yeah. So I'm going to get into what tagging and segmenting are. Okay. So what the Living Emails program or training taught was a system, an autoresponder system called specifically Active Campaigns. I think you can also do tagging with a tool called AW Pro Tools, and that works with Aweber. So basically and essentially what tagging is you're able to actually stick a tab or like a tag or like a keyword, whatever you want to call it, into people who are arriving, how they're arriving into your system, into your funnel. So let's say that somebody got in with an article that you did. Let's say somebody got in with a video. So basically, all along the way, you're tagging this person, and the system gives you the ability to tag these people with every action that they take throughout your funnel. Now, this tagging method or system used to be almost impossible for marketers to do because there weren't any systems out there that were cost effective, meaning that they were very expensive, or you had to like literally be a programmer to even understand how to go about doing that. So with this, this active campaigns and AW Pro Tools, this is just the start of it. I'm sure we'll be seeing more and more of this as time goes on. Okay. Now, if you're not tagging, that's okay. You can be segmenting, and almost every single autoresponder has segmenting. And basically what that is that for every product, for every squeeze page that you have, you're basically putting people onto a new list. Okay, so basically if somebody goes into a training that you're giving on video marketing, that's of course different from a training that you're giving on Facebook marketing or whatever it is that you're trying to sell. Okay, so your segments are broken down by interests. So in hopes that later on, if you're ever promoting something to those people, or maybe it's your own product or an affiliate offer, whatever it is, you're targeting people who got into your system, with the interest that they initially got into your system with. So if you put out a video marketing course or you're promoting a video marketing course, you're going to send that to people who entered into your system with an interest of video marketing. So that's basically what segmenting is. Now, it's not a perfect system. It's not always going to work all the time. And sometimes, you have an offer that you want to blast to your whole list because you just want to kind of test the waters and see how that works. And I know that we're all guilty of that too. But ideally, what you want to do is you really want to start targeting people who, based on the interest and how they got into your system. Okay. So it's really, really important to have that forethought into everything that you do, so that later on, I always call it like taking care or looking out after your future self, right? What's your future self 6 months from now? How is it going to benefit from you setting this up right today? So that's the whole idea about tagging and segmenting. Yeah, essentially, Don, you are targeting behaviors. Absolutely. That's what tagging is. Obviously, it goes into a lot more detail than I kind of went into, but the more that you know about your subscribers and the actions that they're taking inside of your system, the more money that you're going to make, essentially. Okay. So, that's essentially what tagging will do for you. That's right. That's right, Michael. Good call. Good call. All right. Just going through some of the questions and comments. All right. Awesome. We are almost done, actually. We've got one more little section to cover, and it's about that time that I thought it would be. So perfect. We're right on time. So here is where we're going to talk about how to convert even more non-buyers into paying customers. Okay. So here's the shocking truth. Are you guys ready for this one? It's kind of depressing, but not really. Okay. So the scary fact of online selling and even selling in general is that most people won't buy from you. Okay. So, basically when I used to do offline sales in my previous world, like a good like conversion rate, right, was like 25, like a really good conversion rate was 25%. Okay, so if you looked at the flip side of that, that means that 75% of the time you are not selling. People are not buying from you. So you're getting rejected essentially 75% of the time, right? So, in the offline world, of course, you can follow up with people who haven't bought and, wait a couple months and say, hey, how you doing? Well, that's essentially kind of what you're doing online too. And I don't know what the real number is. I hear 7, I hear 12. I don't know. But the fact is that, when it comes down to it, people need to see your offer, like they say 7 times or 12 times. I heard the other day. I really don't know the answer to that, but most people will need to see your offer or stuff from you more than once and more than twice to actually buy from you. And what we want to do to kind of answer that or solve that problem, solve that issue, is to have these pixels that I talked about earlier. We want to have those in place because they're going to help us be able to follow up with people later on. Okay. And again, it all goes back to owning your own properties, owning your own web properties where you're sending people to your own traffic first and you're trying to collect leads before you actually start selling other people's stuff or your own stuff. Okay. So this type of like automation is going to help you. And I'll give you a little bit of an example. The example of the smaller group follow-up, better email delivery. Okay, so basically what I started to do was, let's say you have a whole group of people that you want to market a topic to, right? So let's say I wanted to market the topic of today's presentation, right? I would maybe set up a webinar just like this, right? Let's say I marketed like 2,000 people and maybe I got like a 10% conversion. So I got 10% of those 2,000 people to join me in my training today. Okay, let's just say. And let's just say I was selling them something at the end, which I'm not selling you anything, but let's just say I'm doing that. So basically, out of 200 people, maybe, 50 of them or 60 of them showed up to the actual webinar. They showed up to the live training. Now, in regards to follow-up, maybe, right, I don't say, hey, 2,000 people, check out this webinar I did. I might do that maybe once or twice, but the better example is, or the better way of doing it is actually honing in on that 200 people, the 10% who actually showed interest from the very beginning. Because for some reason, it just works out better to do it that way. And it's actually better email delivery too, because you'll see that when you email those group of 2,000 people, maybe you'll get like 11 to 14% open rate. But then when you're mailing to this isolated group of small, highly targeted people, following up with them, then you're getting much higher open rates. You have a better delivery rate. You tend to make more sales this way for some reason. It's a really good system. And when you do it this way, every now and then you can blast your list, but when you're emailing these highly targeted lists who showed interest right from the beginning, whether you're segmenting or tagging, it's a really good way of going about how to follow up with people, right? So it's just a little example that I kind of noticed recently that was trending. It's really, really important to follow up with people who don't buy from you. So I know sometimes we okay, you don't buy, let me just find new prospects. Well, sometimes finding new prospects, not sometimes, but all the time, it will be more costly to get new prospects. And you will be paying less for people who actually you send retargeting ads to, and you do that through the pixels that you create on your web properties on the information that you're selling. Okay, so I know that was kind of like a handful, especially on, we're approaching the hour here, but I wanted to get this point across very clearly because, again, most of the time, the sad fact is that for the most part, people aren't buying from you the first time around. So smart marketers are going back to those people that already have a, remember we talked about in the beginning, right? The little warmer feeling because they kind of saw your stuff before. They're like, oh, wow, this person's serious about wanting me to check their stuff out. They must really, it must be good. So then, that's how you kind of start slowly creeping up on people who are ice cold. And then over time, they will turn into people who are getting warmer and warmer and warmer. And then, boom, they're a fan, they're a customer, and they're a customer for life. So that is the end of the presentation. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys had fun. I certainly did because I've been really nerding out on things like this recently, and I love talking about it and helping people. So I had a great time. So what'd you guys think? You have any questions, comments, concerns? Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Michael. Let's see. We've got a full house still, so awesome. Thank you very much, Don. Definitely try to do that. Oh, thanks, Alan. That's very sweet. What you got to see was great. Okay, awesome. Let me see. Barb. Yes, there is. Barb asks if there's a sequence in ScriptDoll to send to a cold list. And I believe we do have a couple. Check out the email templates. And there's two specifically. One is the Let's Be Friends, and the other is the comic, what comics know about great business, something like that. Check out those two templates because they're really designed to incorporate, real world information and then coupling that with slight, you don't want to throw offers at a cold list. You really want to start to warm them up. And that is basically through personality. It's through their, touching on their interests. How did they get onto the list the first place? Things like that. Okay. Let's look through. Jeff, basically, these templates were designed to really work with any niche. So, although we have some profiles inside of ScriptDoll that are, geared towards like internet marketing, we do have offline profiles, whatever it is, it could be catered and tweaked literally to any product that you're selling. So if you're selling a new product that happens to be about a new green screen product, then you can incorporate either the 100K digital formula or recipe that we talked about in the beginning, or you can incorporate the Web 3.0 recipe. So, whatever it is you're selling can be put into these recipes. And that's why we kind of designed it like this, because it could really be geared towards anything that you're selling. Thank you, Martin. Let me see. Yeah, I do that too, Martin. I'm guilty of the same thing. All right. Okay, and the way that you check out ScriptDoll, if you don't own it yet, it's at scriptdoll.net. And you'll be able to find more information on that. Barb, I'm not quite sure on that question. Oh, Michael said he found my podcast. Eek! You get into my soul. Just kidding. I don't go that deep. Not yet, at least. Okay, Cindy, Web 3.0, we talked in depth about in the beginning of the presentation, and also we have a whole session on Web 3.0 stuff. If you go to, also answering some of these questions, people like my singing. If you go to scriptdoll.net and then you click on blog, on the right-hand side, you're going to see a category. It's going to be called Office Hours, and that's where all the Office Hours sessions are. And I highly recommend the Web 3.0 sales letter. And that's not a silly question at all. Alan, we do have a script or template on physical products. I cannot think of the name right now. But if you look under the templates, I believe we have an e-commerce section. Actually, I can go check right here. I have two fancy computers, so let me check real quick. So I got to manage the questions at the same time so I don't ignore everyone. Martin says high five. Thank you. Alan, are you inside of ScriptDoll just by any chance? Are you a member? Okay, haven't heard back from Alan yet. Templates, generate a script. Yeah, there's a whole section on e-commerce, and we have two really great ones. First is the abandoned cart email template, where if people don't buy, you can follow up with them with, again, following up with people, important. And then we have the shorty small e-commerce script. So those are the two specifically for physical products, but again, you can also incorporate the other ones to cater to what you're trying to do with physical. You might have to change some of the wording, but the same selling concepts do apply. Leilani, you own ScriptDoll, but what's the best way to start? The best way to start is to start filling out a profile. And you're going to want to start there because everything starts with your profile, specifically about your market. You have some questions. And the profiles are really great because they force you to know things about your target market, like who they are, how old they are they male, are they female, what kind of education or they have, things like that. And it really forces you to know your market. And obviously you're not going to know your market right from the beginning, but you can at least try. And if you have a Facebook page and you go into audience insights, and you can actually look specifically at information about your audience. Now, if your group or your page isn't that big, It's not going to tell you a lot of things that you really want to see, all the juicy stuff, but it will tell you two very important things, which I think is, no, actually a couple important things. Whether you have more men or more women on your page, right? Or even your list. You can do an audience insights on a custom audience that you built from your list. Tell you if you have more women than men, and it'll also tell you the age range of your best people. And it'll also tell you whether they're married, single, their income range, things like that. So you can get a lot of information just from using the audience insights, and not necessarily having a humongous list too. Because at least knowing that avatar, the basic essentials of that avatar of the person that you're selling to, is a really great place to start. Okay. How to build your own green screen today. Right. I mean, Jeff, I kind of answered this already, because like without even knowing specifically what the product is, I already know that. Let me just go back here to the beginning. I already know that whatever type of product you have, without even knowing like what it does, or what it is, or what it consists of, I know that the recipe for success is sending people to a squeeze page, then to a low ticket offer, and then to a main offer. Okay? So you can incorporate these templates, this easy squeeze, and the workhorse sales letter, and the video spike VSL. And that you'll be on the road to at least getting customers, getting leads initially into your funnel. Okay. And I also know that the Web 3.0 sales letter style will also work for that. Okay. So sometimes you have to find, sometimes it's not always like this is the way to do it, but kind of doing it one way and then mixing up the formula and then testing it out. So what I would recommend, Jeff, is to, at least if you don't have any leads yet, then try a squeeze page. And like I said at the end of this presentation, get a core list of people, even if it's like 100 or 200 people who are interested in green screens. They're more likely to buy, right, than people who are interested in like general video stuff. Okay, awesome. Cool, Jeff. Thanks. All right, guys. Well, I think we are nearing the end of this. This was really fun, and it looks like you guys had just as an amazing time as I did. So that is amazing as well. And I really want to thank you for joining me with this session. This is a little bit, high level stuff, but we want to make sure we cover everything from the basics to a little bit more advanced. So at least you get the idea of what needs to be happening with all of your marketing efforts. Okay? So just because you're not split testing a million things today, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't start maybe split testing one thing. That's better than split testing 0 things. Okay? And is not much going to change about these recipes in the near future. So it's not like, next month it's going to be a whole different way that you have to sell. I mean, of course, there might be new technology, there might be better ways, things like that, which we'll definitely share with you. But this way, that's why we called it, right, the, what do we call it? Old Faithful methods, because these aren't really new concepts, like a squeeze page to a sales letter. Like, that's not a new concept, but sometimes we forget the basics, right? And that's why we wanted to bring it back, circle it back around, use the stuff that we already have that's already working, that you have at your fingertips while you're a member of ScriptDoll. And that's great. You guys have all the tools that you need to succeed. So awesome. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care, guys.